Today's November 26th, 2025, and I just had a good lesson, and I wanted to share that with you, my grandchildren. Rip! I don't know where Rip went. I was gonna use Rip as an object lesson, but because I just came back to talk to Rip, and then went to get my phone thinking I'm gonna let her show something, but she's gone. But Bonnie's here. Hi, Bonnie. Hi. Oh, there's Rip. Hi, Rip. See you, Rip? Look. See? Yeah. See you, old baby, huh? You old baby. You old baby. See? You old baby, huh? See, Rip got shot in the elbow, like down there, and so the doctor told me they needed to have it amputated, but it cost too much money, and I never did. And look, Rip still uses it. See? But she don't even pay it no mind, man. When she got out and the other dogs got out and I retrieved them, I mean, she had only been out like not more than like 15 minutes. And well, I had my van. I took my van down the road, and Rip came hobbling back. She'd been shot. And so I it didn't have a big outside wound, but when I took her to the vet, they said it blew off her elbow, and she'd been shot and it blew off her elbow. I needed to have the leg amputated, and they gave me information to try to get like help financially, but I wasn't my thinking in line with I don't care what anybody says. I ain't taking that approach just because somebody says it, that's for sure. And I'm glad I didn't, because she uses that leg. She used that leg to go like this to get my attention. If I would have cut off that leg, think how I would have frustrated her. But the thing is, she don't show one bit of frustration about being shot in the leg, or any kind of remorse for the day that she got out and did something wrong and got shot in the leg, and now she can't use that leg like she used to, and it makes her vulnerable. And she don't pay it any mind, because she's got the attitude, or she's got the understanding it's not about her, like this life, like her life, She never thinks it's all about her. Dogs are kind of greedy, though. They do think it's all about them in one way, because most dogs are greedy. But on the other hand, they live with such freedom, and it's like when you give everything up, like disregard for anything of personal kind of, like anything that's going to attach to you and hold you down. That lesson comes from the Buddha. They let go. They have freedom, And abandonment. Now, abandonment is what I'm saying of. With such abandonment that you just are free then all of a sudden, Okay, well, dogs like Rip got that, all right? They got that. Okay, so that kind of abandonment, what that means is when you say, it's not about you. The dog can say, it's not about me. And then it gives you a freedom, an abandonment, a disattachment from anything that's going to hold you down. Like, I don't know, even the fear of death. Anything, because dogs aren't afraid of dying. They don't really give it much regard. I have seen dogs pay attention. I mean, when Mickey, Nicky, and Worf went against a train and got killed in battle. That's what they thought they were doing. The dogs, when the train whistle would blow, the dogs used to howl, and they only started doing it after that day of that massacre. And when our troops fell, and we took off our hats, put them against our chests, and looked down where they lay as the vultures were overhead. It was a dark day, a sad day. Yeah. They pay their regards and they remember a little bit, like for a little while, but it's not their predominant kind of thing that they concentrate on because they have more abandonment and more freedom. But they did give regard. Look at Sally. Look, she's perfect, like epitome of being relaxed. Look. What do you say? Yeah, go say. Yeah. Okay. Actually good enough. Golly. Yeah, girl, baby. Yeah, girl, baby. Hey. Hey, that's what I'm talking about, you know. Wash between your toes and realize that it's not about you. Whatever hard thing you're going through, you have to remember in a certain way, it's not about you. None of this is about you. Okay? It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about us. Not about us. It's about something bigger than us. And not about you. And you have to remember because that can ground you. It can ground you in the freedom of the Buddha. And I was thinking, you know, for some reason before I decided I was going to make this entry, I was thinking about Sun Tzu, because Sun Tzu is like the military. I mean, actually, military carries the spirit of Sun Tzu. And maybe it'll come to me. But it kind of had something to do with, you know, the idea of, you know, just wash between your toes and remember, it's not about you. When I say wash between your toes, because I just took a shower, and my toes, in between my toes, started itching. And so I knew that they were telling me I have to wash between my toes. But that's what your toes would tell you. If they start itching, and tell you have to wash between your toes. Well, you have to wash them. And it's just like an octopus, because I've been researching stuff down in the bottom of the ocean. And octopuses that go way down there deep, where it's dark. Well, they can actually still see down there. The fish and the octopuses and all that can actually see. And with the light down there, you can see them changing colors. An octopus can change its color depending on where it is. Okay, where it is, because the nervous system goes directly from the brain straight to the skin. And an octopus, and they can make their skin appear like a coral reef, and they can change the colors so it looks exactly the same, and their skin understands what can see. Their skin can see where they are and match it. No. And their skin don't have eyeballs, but it can still see. It detects the color. So right there, you don't have to have eyeballs to see. These things are phenomenal kind of discoveries, okay? And of course, people have been knowing this for a long time, and that's why, if you actually look into science and stuff, you'd be amazed at the reality of things, what really is, and how things really are. Well, how things really are is, it's not about you. I remind myself of this, and I think it would be good for me to say it and make a journal entry of it right now, because it keeps you grounded. Okay, if your things are going crazy and stuff like that. I know people that have gone crazy, and the reason they go crazy is because they start thinking things are about them. And so this guy here, I went ahead and looked at that thing in my algorithm about things don't look right, or things like the guy that can read body language. He's giving a talk, and the header said, things don't look right or something like that. Okay, well, I listened. I'm almost to the end, but I listened to this one guy who was the head of the security team for Charlie Kirk, talking in an interview of somebody, and he made him, when I listened to him talk, for one part of it, it reminded me of another guy that I heard talking a long time ago. I was living with Foster. I mean, this has got to be 2008 or something like that, way back then. And it's 2025 right now. I think it was way back then, or maybe it could have been 2014. I just know certain times where I've been certain places, so at different. I don't know, but anyway, it was the oil spill in the ocean, and I think it was one of the big oil companies, I don't think it was Mobil. I can't remember the names of the big oil companies right now. Exxon, might have been Exxon. and so they showed the picture, man, millions of gallons of oil contaminating the water. They had to take, Dawn soap and everything, and that's why even still today, Dawn says they use it on the ducks to clean the ducks, to get the oil off of them. They use Dawn soap, and they made a big deal out of that it worked the best. And it was a disaster for a long time. And it lasted. And it made a big, big impression, okay? But out of that whole depressing kind of catastrophe, the head of, and I think it was Exxon, I'm not sure, it could be wrong, but head of this company, in charge of the whole thing, getting paid all the money, big money, big rich guy, rich, head of an oil company, tremendously wealthy, soaking wet rich. In the catastrophe here, you hear him saying on national television in front of the whole world, everybody to see, because the oceans are a big deal, okay? And he said, I just want to get back to my life. As if it was all about him. He was egocentric, eh? He thought that he was the center of everything, or I don't know. That's where his thinking was, that's where he was stuck in his thinking, and I consider that to be crazy. And I consider the fact that when people go crazy, they go crazy because they think that it's all about them. There's nothing that about them, or you, or me. It's a discipline, maybe, kind of. You always have to remind yourself it's not all about you, or it's not about me, or like that. No matter what happens, even, I mean, okay, you can't take this too far, okay? Actually, because I was just thinking, I remember Charlie Manson, who, at the end of the hippie movement, he killed Sharon Tate and people in her house, a bunch of people in her house, and she was an actor, and with big news. And he got his message from, in conjunction with a lot of psychedelic acid trips. He got his message from one particular song from the Beatles called Helter Skelter. That's what I hear anyway. But I heard him talk, man. I listened to him talk on to the reporter from prison, okay? And what he was saying the same thing. It's not about him. Okay. And he's a crazy guy, okay? And he was thinking, no, it's not about him. So you have to take things into a balance, okay? In the sense in which they're meant, right? And I'm saying, Charlie Manson, okay? He also said it wasn't about him. He was a crazy guy, though. But sometimes you have to untangle the knot. And just understand a little bit more precisely what things are, okay? In a sense, well, it is about you. And in another sense, it's not about you. But anyway, the thing that just dawns on me is the practical measure of just washing between your toes, which is just do things that are naturally that you should do as being a human being, and admit, okay, that not everything is about you. And most of the time, hardly anything is about you. And this is a lesson you'll learn. Everybody is only concerned about themselves. They're not thinking about you. And, if you think about that, people don't really, when they're looking at you and stuff, they don't really care. They don't really care that much about you. Not like they care about themselves. Now Sally, what? Anyway. Anyway, I'm gonna play this guy here. I think I got it on the right spot. He's the security chief. It was for Charlie Kirk.
my phone came out of right here, and so of course I just left it. I didn't know it came out. So I get to the hospital, and I don't have the ability to call my children and tell them I'm okay, or my parents or my fiance. I couldn't call them, and so they're at home just suffering because I can't call them.
Yeah, man.
Let me make this part very clear because I don't want my words misunderstood or twisted around.
Okay. See, you don't want his words twisted or misunderstood. I'm not going to play what is, but that was just a little clip right there from the security chief. And when I heard him say that, because this is just right after Charlie Kirk got shot and killed, you know, and he's telling the story, and in his storytelling, he's saying what a nervous anxiety and how bad he felt just because he couldn't like call his family and tell his family that he was okay, as if everything was revolving around him, like as if he was, you know, maybe in his little world or something, like, and maybe he knows his family is worried about him, but this is the wrong place to be telling that kind of story. Like, maybe you might tell that story like a one-on-one to a family member, but that's not kind of story you tell in the middle of somebody else getting killed. You don't direct the attention to yourself. And that's what he did. He did that in this interview. I played the part where he said that. That's misdirection for some reason. Anyway, and when I listened to him, like, trying to take the focus off of the real issue at hand and put it on yourself, well, that's kind of sick. And when you do that kind of stuff, that's what I'm saying. That kind of, okay, what that demonstrates is that it's a avoidance. It's an avoidance in the psychological sense that is a neurosis. Okay, it's a neurotic avoidance. Okay, because you're avoiding something for some reason, and that's the job of the psychotherapist to actually get to the bottom of, help you get to the bottom of. Well, like, oh, look, she's gonna start talking to Goldie. Goldie's just laying there. Look. Hey. Sally can't even hardly see. But she knows who's there and stuff, you know. And she wants them to know that she wants to get back up on the bed, and she don't want to be attacked. Alright. Anyway, on this journal entry for today, I'm talking about, you know, wash between your toes and realize that it's not all about you. Some of it's about you. It ain't all about you. And most of it is probably not about you. And the thing is, when you think that the things are about you, that's when you go crazy. That's when you go crazy. And you got to be like more like a dog and have abandonment. Abandonment. Free abandonment. With the understanding, okay, you don't have to be thinking in the terms, in the sense that it's like all about you, because it's not, and it never was. But most people, as part of what they tell you growing up, you begin egocentrically, okay? You think that everything like is about you. Like, you know, you're a little baby and you don't know nothing except, you know, you think everything is like about you. And then when you kind of growing up bigger and bigger, you start realizing, well, no, it's not all about you, because you got to cooperate with everybody else. And so it's about them too. And then the further on you go after that, you understand that most people just only think about themselves, and it's really never really been about you. It's a negotiation between you and a bunch of other people that are keep competing, for their own attention and for their own fulfillment of their own, aspirations and ambitions and desires. And loves and hates. And I don't know, like when I think of hate, I do think of the military. And of course Sun Tzu. But my thinking is, that it's not like, maybe I have more of an Oriental kind of disposition is my favorite, more disposition. It's actually the yin and the yang, or the yin and the yang, or however you say it. Okay, like that. And because there's always a little black and a little white. It's the whole thing, everything, encircling and in relation and integrated. Okay, and it is this way and it has to be this way. Okay, so don't buck the system, because it's like, okay, if you're kayaking, okay, and you got in a hole and you're trying to swim up and get a breath of air and save yourself from drowning, all right, and fighting and struggling as hard as you can because you don't want to drown. Okay, you're making a mistake, okay? Because what you got to do is you got to go down deep, because you will fight yourself to death if you're trying to get up that way, okay? What you got to do is you got to go down deep and get out of that system, and then be pushed out down the river and get out of that hole from the bottom, not the top. You'll drown. You're never going to get up from the top. And this is the same kind of like intelligence or wisdom or best practice you want to implement, okay, smarts, like work smart, not hard, that kind of deal. Because sometimes the instinctual response is not the best response. It's not the smart response. Well, the psychotherapist helps people to go down deep and find out what the cause of, the avoidance is. This guy definitely, in my opinion, displayed avoidance. Like he was avoiding, he was avoiding the main course, the main thing, and concentrating on something that didn't really matter, which was himself and his family being concerned about him in a catastrophe like this. Just like that guy from the oil spill, said he just, on national TV, he just wanted to get back to his life. It was totally so insensitive to the sensibilities of anybody that loved the water and the ocean and the fish and the marine life and the ducks and the birds and everything that it affected. So this is why I at least can make finally a sutra or a mantra, pithy statement that can help me remember my motif and give me power, the power of like a dog. Alright? He's not afraid of anything. My dogs weren't even afraid of the train and killed them. But they had a sense of abandonment, and they just proved that in life and in death, they were magnificent. Very, very magnificent. Look, they're all magnificent right now. Look, even and they're just resting. Look. You're a dog, baby. You're a dog, baby. Right. So, this one, you know, there's a lesson in sanity. Not insanity, but in sanity. And that's how you stay balanced, okay? Like if you're a tightrope walker, they have, okay, a stick, you know? Like that. Weight to keep them sturdy on the wire. And they use that stick too to kind of balance themselves, you know? And it's a balancing act. We have to walk through this world. Just like Sally right now, she's in a balancing act. She's trying to get up on that bed. Hey. See, she knows likes to make it. She knows I'll come help her and kind of guide her up there. But look, she's telling Goldie. See, she's telling Goldie, you know, she wants up there. Pretty soon, you know, she'll start going real slow and go through her procedure. And but you know, I just learned a lot of lessons from my dogs. And one of the lessons that I learned is abandonment. And because they understand, like, it's not about them. They're team players. They jump into action. They talk to each other. They don't give too much regard. It's not like they're selfish. And that's what being egocentric is being selfish. And that's thinking everything revolves around you. Or you want everything to revolve around you. And this is a bad thing about Donald Trump, you know, because he's totally egocentric and selfish. That's part of being what they call a malignant narcissist. So now she decided to go up another way. So like, she did that successfully. All right, so I'm going to call this one the negotiation. Because, see, that's what Sally just did. She negotiated. And she's a little handicapped. And there's a strong negotiation between, like the tightrope walker, what's about you and what's not about you. So, don't ever let somebody make something about you that's really not about you. Anyway, here's to abandonment. Cheers to abandonment.